Quorn is the leading meat substitute product within the UK and Ireland. The brand was launched in 1985 and is now sold in 16 countries worldwide. Quorn was developed as a solution to a growing global demand for protein. Quorn foods are claimed to replicate the taste and texture of meat. All Quorn foods contain mycoprotein as an ingredient. Mycoprotein is derived from the Fusarium venenatum fungus and is grown by fermentation using a process similar to the production of beer or yogurt. The carbon footprint of Quorn Frozen Mince in the UK is claimed to be 70% less than that of beef. The fungus culture is dried and mixed with egg albumen, which acts as a binder, and then is adjusted in texture and pressed into various forms. Quorn is produced as both a cooking ingredient and a range of ready meals. It is sold as a health food and an alternative to meat. After switching to using free-range eggs as an ingredient, the Vegetarian Society gave the product its seal of approval. When Quorn was introduced in the United States in 2002, the Center for Science in the Public Interest expressed multiple concerns over the product. Much of the concern from CSPI and others was over the original labeling of Quorn as a mushroom-based product, since Fusarium venenatum is not a mushroom. Originally conceived and owned by milling and baking experts Rank Hovis McDougall, the business was sold by RHM to ICI in 1990. In 1992, the business became a part of the newly formed Zeneca Group, later to become AstraZeneca. In 2003, AstraZeneca sold the business to Montague Private Equity for £72 million, which in turn sold to Premier Foods in 2005 for £172 million. More recently, the business was purchased by Exponent Private Equity and Intermediate Capital Group for £205 million. History: microbial biomass is produced commercially as single-cell protein for human food or animal feed and as viable yeast cells for the baking industry. The industrial production of baker's yeast started in the early 1900s and yeast biomass was used as human food in Germany during WWI. The development of large-scale processes for the production of microbial biomass as a source of commercial protein began in earnest in the late 1960s. Several of the processes investigated did not come to fruition owing to political and economic problems, but the establishment of the ICI protein process for the production of bacterial SCP for animal feed was a milestone in the development of the fermentation industry. This process utilized continuous culture on an enormous scale. The economics of the production of SCP as animal feed were marginal, which eventually led to the discontinuation of the protein process. The technical expertise gained from the protein process assisted ICI in collaborating with Rank Hovis McDougall on a process for the production of fungal biomass for human food. A continuous fermentation process for the production of Fusarium venenatum biomass was developed utilizing a 40 AM3 airlift fermenter. During the 1960s, it was predicted that by the 1980s there would be a shortage of protein-rich foods. In response to this, research programs were undertaken to use single-cell biomass as an animal feed. Contrary to the trend, J. Arthur Rank instructed the Rank Hovis McDougall Research Center to investigate converting starch into a protein-rich food for human consumption. The filamentous fungus, Fusarium venenatum, was discovered in 1967. After an extensive screening process, it was isolated as the best candidate. In 1985, RHM was given permission to sell mycoprotein for human consumption after a 10-year evaluation program. Retail history: Quorn as a retail product was first produced in 1985 by Marlow Foods, named after Rank Hovis McDougall's headquarters in Marlow, Buckinghamshire, a joint venture between RHM and Imperial Chemical Industries, who provided a fermenter left vacant from their abandoned single-cell feed program. The product is not named after the Leicestershire village of Quorn, but instead after a sauce mix produced by Marlow Foods. The two partners invested in patents for growing and processing the fungus and other intellectual properties in the brand. Quorn entered distribution in the UK in 1994, and was introduced to other parts of Europe in the 1990s, and to the US in 2002. The initial advertising campaign for Quorn featured sports personalities, including footballer Ryan Giggs, rugby player Will Culling, and runner Sally Gunnell. In 2013 they signed Mo Farah in a marketing push for fitness. Quorn brand Mycoprotein is sold in ready-to-cook forms, such as cubes and a form resembling minced meat. And later introduced a range of chilled vegetarian meals, including pizzas, lasagna, cottage pie, and products resembling sliced meat, hot dogs, and burgers. As of 2006, it is available in stores in the UK, Spain, the Netherlands, Belgium, Denmark, Sweden, the US, Switzerland and Ireland. Since June 2010, it has been available in Australia. In May 2012 Quorn Foods opened the German website Quorn to launch Quorn in Germany. By 2005 Quorn enjoyed around 60% of the meat replacement food market in the UK, with annual sales of around £95 million. In 2004, McDonald's introduced a Quorn-branded burger bearing the seal of approval of the Vegetarian Society, an endorsement criticised by the Vegan Society. As of 2009, the Quorn burgers were no longer available at any McDonald's restaurant in the UK. In 2011 Quorn Foods launched a vegan burger into the US market, using potato starch as a binder instead of egg albumen, to confer vegan status. According to Quorn's website, by 2013 a number of gourmet Quorn items were available in US markets, most of which are vegetarian but not vegan, as they contain milk or cheese and egg white or albumin. In addition, some contain wheat, gluten and/or soy. Mycoprotein is defined simply as a natural protein. Ownership history: When ICI spun off its biological products divisions from the core chemical business in 1993, Marlow Foods became part of the AstraZeneca Group, one of the world's largest pharmaceutical companies. In 2003, AstraZeneca sold Marlow, the Quorn business, and associated trademarks and patents, to a private equity firm for £70 million. 2 years later, food giant Premier Foods bought Marlow for £172 million. In 2011 Premier Foods sold Quorn to Exponent Private Equity and Intermediate Capital Group for £205 million. Production: Quorn is made from the soil mold Fusarium venenatum strain PTA 2684. The fungus is grown in continually oxygenated water in large, otherwise sterile fermentation tanks. Glucose and fixed nitrogen are added as a food for the fungus, as are vitamins and minerals to improve the food value of the product. The resulting mycoprotein is then extracted and heat-treated to remove excess levels of RNA. Previous attempts to produce such fermented protein foodstuffs were thwarted by excessive levels of DNA or RNA. Without the heat treatment, purines, found in nucleic acids, is metabolized by humans to produce uric acid, which can lead to gout. However, 2 recent studies have found dietary factors once believed to be associated with gout are in fact not, including the intake of purine-rich vegetables and total protein. The Mayo Clinic, meanwhile, advises gout sufferers to avoid some foods that are high in purines. The product is dried and mixed with egg albumin, which acts as a binder. It is then textured, giving it some of the grained character of meat, and pressed either into a mince resembling ground beef, forms resembling chicken breasts, meatballs, and turkey roasts, or chunks resembling diced chicken breast. In these forms, Quorn has a varying color and a mild flavor resembling the imitated meat product, and is suitable for use as a replacement for meat in many dishes, such as stews and casseroles. The final Quorn product is high in protein and dietary fiber and is low in saturated fat and salt. It contains less dietary iron than most meats. Quorn for the European market is produced at Marlow's headquarters in Stoke-Isley, North Yorkshire and at nearby Billingham in Stockton-on-Tees. Controversy: Quorn's 2002 debut in the US was more problematic than its European introduction. The sale of Quorn was contested by the American Mushroom Institute, rival Gardenburger, and the Center for Science in the Public Interest. They filed complaints with advertising and trading standards watchdogs in Europe and the US, claiming the labeling of Quorn as mushroom-based was deceptive. The CSPI observed that while a mushroom is a fungus, Fusarium is not a mushroom, and stated, Quorn's fungus is as closely related to mushrooms as humans are to jellyfish. CSPI also claimed that corn could cause allergic reactions and should be removed from stores. Calling the product fungus food, CSPI claimed in 2003 that it sickens 4.5% of eaters. The manufacturer disputes the figure, claiming that only 0.0007% suffer adverse reactions and that the strain of fungus it uses does not produce toxins. The CSPI's claims were also described by Leslie Bensi, professor of nutrition at the University of Pittsburgh, as overblown. Stephen Milloy, writing for the American Fox News Channel, said CSPI appears to have an unsavory relationship with corn competitor, Gardenburger, and called the CSPI's complaints unscrupulous shrieking. Gardenburger in turn denied this, saying Milloy's unsavory relationship claim was untrue and groundless. Wendy Preiser, Gardenburger's vice president of marketing, supported the Gardenburger position on the grounds that the company was afraid that corn's labels would cause people to be suspicious about all meat-free products. The UK's Advertising Standards Authority also had concerns over Marlowe's practice of marketing corn as mushroom in origin, saying it had been misleading consumers. The ASA noted despite the advertiser Euro unregistered trademark's explanation that they used the term because customers were unfamiliar with the main ingredient, mycoprotein, the ASA considered that the claim implied that corn was made from mushroom. Marlowe Foods were asked either to delete the claim or give in the same font size a statement of the mycoprotein origin of the product or the fungal origin of the product. Corn's acceptance in the vegetarian market was hampered by the use of battery eggs in its production process, a practice opposed on ethical grounds by many. For this reason, the Vegetarian Society initially did not approve these products. Working with the Vegetarian Society, Marlowe began phasing out battery eggs in 2000, and by 2004 all corn products sold in the UK were produced without battery eggs, earning the Vegetarian Society's seal of approval. An asthma attack in 2003 was linked to corn, which the patient had eaten an hour earlier. Scientists' tests showed corn to be the only food to which the patient had an allergic reaction. A spokesperson for the Food Standards Agency stated that an allergy was not surprising because of the high protein content. Former FSA Director John Bell responded in defense of corn, stating that several commonly consumed foods and food ingredients have a much higher intolerance level than corn, such as soya. Mycoprotein patent. In the European Union, all patents expire after 20 years from their filing date. Since the first patent application was filed in 1985, the mycoprotein patents had already expired in 2010 in all EU countries. Now anyone can produce mycoprotein products, but using other brands, because Marlowe Foods maintains the Quorn brand. On March 14, 2011, CEO Kevin Brennan said in an interview, some patents surrounding the core technology have expired, but the product uses a peculiar fermentation method, and we have 30-plus years experience in perfecting this on-site to produce the product better and at a lower cost. Huge related costs include a £30 million cost for a fermentation tower and related equipment, so you can't unregistered trademark simply look at a patent and say there you go unregistered trademark vegan range. In late 2011, Quorn released their first vegan product, called the Quorn Vegan Burger, available initially only in the US. Following strong sales of the product and increasing demand from the UK market, Quorn Foods UK marketing director Chris Rook announced that they are now developing and testing a line of vegan products for the UK market. Quorn are also reducing its use of eggs overall, using 3.5 million fewer eggs since 2010. See also, in vitro meat, list of meat substitutes, textured vegetable protein, references. External links, official website, information on mycoprotein, Centre for Science in the Public Interest. Quorn complaints. Retrieved May 20, 2006 CSPI's page on its concerns about corn, Farhad Manju. A mushrooming corn controversy. Wired. Retrieved May 20, 2006 Wired magazine report of Quorn's US debut.